If we could have your attention, please. We'd like to thank everyone for coming and being part of such a special occasion, and particularly we would like to thank the Lyme Art Association, which I understand is the oldest continuous association of local artists, starting back in 1914. And tonight, Kendall Perkins and Keith Fox are here, and I think we should show our appreciation to them for their hospitality. And of course, we would like to thank Carrie and Jeff for making us part of this very special event. You may have noticed the beautiful little lighthouses on your individual name card, but each table actually has a painting by Carrie about the lighthouse. And then your particular name tag is a copy of the painting that is at your table. So Carrie has a love of lighthouses, and she certainly has shown her creativity with these cards. Carrie's sisters would like to speak with you. Darcy and Leslie.
Bear with us because we're nervous, and there's some jokes in here, but they're very subtle, so pay attention. Okay. For those of you who don't know who I am, I first met Carrie in a hospital in New Haven back in 1979. She was just under 3 years old, and I had just been born. So we've known each other for a pretty long time. Having just been through the traumatic event of leaving the womb, I remember feeling very vulnerable at the moment. What I don't remember, but have since read in my baby book, was that Carrie was holding me, and when a nurse tried to take me back, she wouldn't let me go until she was convinced that holding some diaper cream instead would be just as helpful. I'm pretty sure that that story is the first documented case of a lifelong pattern of Carrie protecting me and looking out for my best interest. I actually met Carrie at the same hospital that she and Darcy met at when I was 0 and 1 day and she was 6 and a half. This age difference meant that I may have been fated to always play the role of the tagging along little sister, but unlike many older sisters, Carrie was always not only not annoyed to have me hanging around, but she was always happy to hang out with me and always included me in her life. So my first real memory of being really glad that Carrie was there to look after me is when we were riding the bus home one day from elementary school. There was a substitute bus driver, and she'd invited a bunch of friends to ride along with her, which was terribly frightening to all of us because they were huge hooligan teenagers and we were just little kids. And she wasn't paying attention, and she flew right past our house with no sign of stopping. I was incredibly scared and I didn't know what to do, but having Carrie there, Carrie summoned the courage to speak up for us. And I know that if Carrie had not been there, I would have had to ride the bus all the way back to the bus barn. When I was young, the Lynch family vacation model of choice was the family road trip. And this was back in the days before every minivan came equipped with a TV in the back seat for each child. And I remember that Carrie used to assume the role of entertainer, and she would often make crossword puzzles for me to do. And later in life, a few years after I graduated from college and I decided to pick up my life and move all the way across the country, it was Carrie who drove me to the West Coast. It was 5 days in the car together, but we never got bored. So one summer, moving up in our lives, when I was 13 years old, we went out for our first vacation out west. After touring parts of New Mexico, we were making our way through Colorado and somehow settled on the idea of going whitewater rafting, which I'm guessing was Dad's idea. Before we got onto the water, we all put on our life preservers and we were given a safety demo, which included what to do if someone were to fall into the water, an unlikely event. We were about halfway through the course, and of course our raft hit a rock and I was instantly popped out of the raft and flew through the air and into the water. So even though I was a good swimmer, I was unable to kind of orient myself and I felt my legs crashing against the rocks. But before there was any time for me to panic, all of a sudden Carrie appeared. She grabbed me into the arms and heaved me back into the raft with superhuman strength.
No way.
No way. Here's another example of her superhuman strength. It wasn't just us that Carrie looked out for, but she and I once took our overweight cat Pokey for a walk. We were convinced that we were beginning a new exercise routine and that by the end of the summer we'd be very svelte. We set out for the walk, only to return with Carrie having fashioned a sling over her shoulder for him to be carried back in. I think we made it about 20 steps. Carrie got a very good workout, the cat did not. But I've always admired Carrie for her love of animals, which she showed in a very early conviction to become a vegetarian. There are footsteps that I followed in, and I took them to a whole new level. But one of the things about Carrie is that you don't have to be one of her younger sisters to admire her finest qualities. I remember that in her high school superlatives, and Becky and Sarah, you can back me up on this, she was voted most polite. When I heard that she was voted most polite, I said, "You are most polite? What a loser!" To which she said, "Thank you." So on this day, we are very happy for Jeff that he found someone who is not only the most polite person to have come out of Lime Old Lime High School in 1994, but is also a terrific person to have on your side. So in closing, we hope that in your marriage, you always admire one another as we have always looked up to you, and take care of each other as you've always taken care of us, and have a life filled with love and happiness.